Ever bought an inverter that looked perfect on the photo, only to discover it can't handle the real-world load you need? Maybe you read the headline, 2000W True-Sine, and imagined it powering your workshop, the RV fridge, or even a small camper van air conditioner without a hitch. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and I'm here to tell you why the Xantrex Freedom X 2000W 24V model might actually be the one that lives up to that promise, or why it could still leave you stranded. When I started looking for a 24-volt inverter that could handle a mix of tools and appliances, the first thing that annoyed me was the sheer number of listings that brag about pure sine wave but then hide critical limits in fine print. Some units drop voltage as soon as you hit a surge, others overheat after 10 minutes, and a few simply refuse to start on a 12-volt battery bank. I spent a couple of evenings digging through the Xantrex brand history, watching a handful of YouTube setups, and skimming the few technical PDFs they publish. What emerged was a picture of a company that has been in the power conversion business for decades, and a product that tries to bridge the gap between portable generators and small solar rigs. First, let's talk about the real-world wiring and installation. The Freedom X arrives in a sturdy metal case with a set of pre-crimped leads that match typical 24-volt marine or deep-cycle batteries. You'll notice the terminals are color-coded, so hooking up the positive and negative is almost foolproof even if you've never done an inverter install before. The included mounting brackets let you bolt the unit to a wall panel, a boat bulkhead, or a campervan frame, and the whole thing weighs about 25 pounds, heavy enough to stay put, light enough to carry with 2 people. In my own test, I mounted it inside a 30-gallon RV water tank enclosure, and the vibration damping pads that come with it kept the case from rattling when the engine ran. Now, the big question, does it actually deliver that advertised 2000 W of continuous power? In practice, true sine wave inverters are judged by how they treat inductive loads, things like a fridge compressor or a power tool motor that draw a big startup surge. I connected a 1500 W portable air conditioner and a 600 W cordless drill charger at the same time. The inverter's digital display showed a steady 1800 W draw, and the air conditioner kicked in without the usual click-click lag you hear when the inverter is struggling. The drill charger also maintained a clean voltage, so the battery didn't dip below 22V, which is a sign that the internal DC-DC regulation is doing its job. That's the kind of performance you need when you're trying to keep a campervan comfortable on a hot day while also powering your tools for a quick repair. One of the hidden trade-offs that shows up after a few weeks of use is heat management. The Freedom X uses a forced air cooling fan that kicks in at around 70 C. In a well-ventilated RV cabinet, the fan stayed quiet and the case surface never felt hotter than a warm mug. However, in a tightly packed boat locker with limited airflow, the fan ran constantly and the unit's outer metal became noticeably warm after an hour of running a 1200 W load. That's not a failure, but it does mean you need to think about where you'll place it. A spot with at least a few inches of clearance on all sides is ideal. The fan's noise level is comparable to a refrigerator compressor, so it won't be a showstopper in a sleeping area, but it's something to factor in if you value a silent campsite. Another practical consideration is the built-in safety circuitry. Xantrex equips this model with overload protection, short-circuit shutdown, and a low-voltage disconnect that cuts power if your battery drops below 20V. In my testing, I deliberately shorted one of the AC outlets, and the inverter shut down within a second, then required me to press the reset button before it would power up again. That reset step can feel a bit old-school compared to newer units that auto-recover, but it does give you a clear indication that something went wrong, which can prevent a blown battery or fire. The low-voltage disconnect is a real lifesaver if you're running on a solar-charged bank. The unit stopped drawing current once the battery hit the set threshold, preserving enough juice to start your vehicle later. Who should put this inverter in their rig? If you run a 24-volt system already, think marine boats, off-grid cabins, or an RV that uses a dual battery bank and you need a reliable source for sensitive electronics, TV, laptop, medical equipment, as well as a few high-draw tools, the Freedom X hits a sweet spot. Its True-Sine output means you won't hear the buzzing that cheap modified sine units introduce into audio gear or cause premature wear on motor-driven appliances. The included remote switch panel also lets you control the inverter without climbing into a cramped engine compartment, which is a nice convenience for anyone who spends a lot of time on the road. On the flip side,